everybody, and welcome to The Very Worst, a podcast that is only about all of the Pokemon movies. I'm Matt Allcamp.
I'm Pat Reber.
Oh, am I supposed to introduce myself?
Yeah, I guess
sorry.
we
usually Pat always makes fun of me for going over this before the podcast starts.
I was waiting to be introduced. I'm special guest Megan Chialastri.
Yeah! You guys have heard Megan on the weird half episode we released a couple weeks ago because we lost all the audio and now we're re-record. This is the first re-record that we've ever done, and it sucks, guys. Like, it sucks to have to spend like an hour and a half describing a Pokemon movie to your friends and then do it again.
Also, I rewatched this goddamn movie.
Yeah, which we actually should have warned you. We make a rule never to do.
Well, also, for the 40 listeners at home,
Yeah.
we were supposed to re-record last week, but I just lost my laptop cord, so I don't know what happened. So I rewatched it that day, too. I've watched this movie 3 times.
That's so nuts. I would have read a summary on Wikipedia or something.
I have completely forgotten what happens in this movie.
So, Megan, do you know that Pat doesn't even remember the title of this movie?
It's like Pokemon and the Woe or something. I don't remember the title of this movie.
Pokemon and the Woe.
Pokemon and the Woe.
Moody and the Island of Care.
It's not Moody and the Island of Care.
But it's like the island of. No, it's not the island of anything.
No, you just watched it again.
Yeah, like 45 minutes ago. But like the title doesn't fucking make sense because it's about that one fucking Pokemon, and that Pokemon's not in the title.
No, it is about that Okay. The
Hoopy.
Pokemon is Hoopa.
Hoopa.
So it's about it's Hoopa, but the rest of the title doesn't make sense. Hoopa and the Clash of Ages, it's called.
That's it.
This is the name of this movie. Do you guys remember when the ages clashed in this movie?
Whenever I hear a movie about ages, my mind immediately goes to Rock of Ages starring Tom Cruise, which I also did not see.
I would like a movie about the Clash of Ages, where it's just like an army of baby boomers versus like an army of millennials versus an army of, what do you call the next ones?
Gen Xers.
No, Gen Zers.
Well,
Zers.
the upcoming
Gen
ones.
Zers are younger than us.
Don't they have a
Gen Z.
different name now already?
They'll rename it. Remember when they were calling us Gen Y just because it was Gen X before us?
Yeah.
And then
And then we became
years ago,
millennials.
no, it's millennials.
Guys, we're recording this on the just hot on the heels of the most important thing to ever happen to Pokemon. Do you guys know what it is? I'm taking guesses.
I saw a sketch of the original, more chonky Pikachu and not the svelte Pikachu we know today. So I'm going to guess that it was me seeing that picture.
Okay. All right. Pat, what's your guess? Guess logged. Pat, what's your guess?
I would say they announced a new main human character for the series. Ash is dead.
What would you name that character? If you were to make a new like human protagonist for Pokemon, what would you name it? You're trying to follow up Ash Ketchum, like the coolest name ever, Ash, followed by Catch Them.
Wait, Ash is just short for Ashley.
Yeah. Like Dak.
Matt Master.
Oh, you think I have the coolest name on earth?
No. I think you have an abbreviated girl's name.
So obviously the listeners will know what I'm talking about. It's that Chance the Rapper mentioned Ash Ketchum in his new album in a lyric.
That means literally nothing to me.
Yeah, I like Chance the Rapper.
Yeah, me too.
Not
His
enough.
new albums.
Not enough that I've listened to his new album.
His new album's okay, and his reference to Ash Ketchum is really a blink and you miss it kind of moment. But it's definitely the most important thing to happen to Pokemon in ages. Clash of Ages, Hoopa and the Clash of Ages. Guys, let's talk about this movie. How do y'all feel?
I can't believe you would say that this blink and you miss it moment on a rap song is a bigger thing to happen to Pokemon than Pikachu saying hell.
Pikachu says hell?
It's Detective Pikachu. Pikachu says hell.
Ooh, I still haven't seen Detective Pikachu.
I watched Detective Pikachu. I didn't notice him say hell.
Okay, full disclosure, I also did not see Detective Pikachu. That was just like a tweet that was going around for a while, so I assumed it was true.
Guys, do you want me to spoiler alert you?
Oh yeah, I don't care about spoilers.
It legitimately ruins the end of the movie.
Cool.
No, don't.
All right, Pat, cover your ears under your headphones.
No, it's not even available for purchase yet. Like, you're gonna ruin it for our fans of the animated Pokemon movies that haven't seen.
Fine.
Or give me the spoiler warning, like jump forward 20 seconds so Matt can spoil this movie for me. Also, like,
Pat, take your head.
I'm a spoiler person.
Cover your ears and go la 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 la.
We're seeing.
Well, so it's actually not Pikachu. It's the ghost of his dead father.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, so there's that. So it's just literally Ryan Reynolds saying hell. Okay, Pat.
Done?
Yeah, we're done.
What the fuck?
Now you know something crazy happens that'll make Megan say what the fuck.
Yeah.
Guys, do you want to talk about Hoopa and the Clash of Ages?
I would love to talk about
wildest
Hoopa and the
Pokemon
Clash
movie
of
that's
Ages.
like ever existed. Pat, well, okay, why don't we start with like and I'm gonna say initial impressions, but the truth is me and Pat watched this thing a month ago.
And I immediately clear out that space in my brain again after I watch one of these movies.
It's just you have like a recycle bin and it's like dump.
Yeah.
Pat, but you're gonna start and Megan's gonna finish because they just watched it
For the third time.
I know.
Oh yeah, I have multiple reactions.
All right, Pat. What is your hot off the presses? What's your reaction to this movie?
I remember loving this movie. I remember just thinking that this was insane. It was like somebody. Do you remember when they made a Brady Bunch movie in like the 90s? And
yes, and Bobby fucking finds the thing in the cave and he's cursed. It's amazing.
yeah, it's wonderful, and it's a very tongue-in-cheek joke about the Brady Bunch that stretches for 2 hours. It's just the entire concept of the movie is how ridiculous is the Brady Bunch,
Right.
and they play out a real corny story, and it's just super campy and super fun. And I think this is that of Pokemon movies, that they just they saw all the Pokemon movies in the television
And
show,
they were like,
and
"What
they
are
were
we
like,
doing?
This is insane. We have to write this." So I don't know. I liked it. I remember liking it. I don't remember a thing about it again at all. I checked my notes. They don't make any sense. But
So the reason your notes don't make any sense, and this will lead into my first impression, is as much as I can remember, is I think this movie doesn't make any sense. I think this movie is a series of crazy shit happening that they sort like in some areas they try to tie together into like a loose narrative, and in other areas they don't try at all. And so it's just a bunch of just whack shit going on. I think of this movie like the Transformers of Pokemon. This is like the Michael Bay directed Pokemon movie, is what it feels like. Like there's explosions. Every legendary Pokemon shows, like literally every legendary Pokemon shows up. People yell at each other. I think time tries to crush them.
Oh, yeah, time and space. There's a time and space rift, right?
By time and space rift, you mean a giant wall of purple that they call time and space that tries to crush them.
Yes.
That's how I remember it. Megan, what were your first impressions of this movie that happened 3 times for you?
Yeah, first, second, and third impression.
Okay, so first time I watched it, I was very tired. And
Right.
I was very confused by this movie because, like, it felt like just things were real jumpy. And then I realized after I watched it for the second time that it felt so jumpy because I was, in fact, falling asleep for about 2-minute increments throughout the movie.
Yes.
So that explains a whole lot.
Right.
The second time I watched it, I got pretty intoxicated first.
Ah, yes.
Rad.
And I thought this movie was great.
Yeah.
I thought if... Pat, what movie did you say it was like?
Hoopy and the Island of Moons.
Oh, no, you said it was like the Brady Bunch movie.
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I thought
I
you
thought
were
this
challenging
was
my
like-
memory again.
No. I thought this was like the Royal Tenenbaums of Pokemon movies. Because, like, it didn't make much sense, but you had all the big stars, and it was exciting to see them all there.
Yeah.
The third time I watched this movie, I was like, oh no, this movie just doesn't make sense.
Right. It doesn't. Right.
Right. It was confusing, and also, like, I've been rewatching Avatar, The Last Airbender, and I feel like I just want to inject this into that world, even though that doesn't make sense either. So that's what's happening in my brain.
Yeah. It's incomprehensible. I'm glad that you came back around to this movie doesn't make any fucking sense.
None of these movies make any fucking sense.
I know the end of Detective Pikachu, and that shit makes sense.
This movie, let's get into recaps. This movie, okay, I'm going to be reading from my notes, and I'm not going to always know what they mean. So
I'm going to do
sometimes,
my very best, but this movie was confusing.
sometimes I will read my opinions and not know why I had them. Like right here, I wrote "open strong!" exclamation. And it's but this part I remember, like a weird god thing descends from heaven.
Yeah.
On some beautiful like Arab village, some like desert village, some sort of like Agrabah looking place.
Yep.
And this thing, I do remember this thing looks like a Kingdom Hearts villain. And I remember talking about this in the first... I can't keep saying that. I was going to say, I remember talking about this the first time we recorded, but if I do that every time, that's all this podcast is going to be, is the three of us talking about that we already said this 3 weeks ago.
We said this to each other a while ago. You weren't there.
But so this... It looks like a Kingdom Hearts villain. It's like this...
I thought it kind of looked like if Jigsaw from Saw was cute.
It's like a floating genie with 6 hands that float around it in a circle and do attacks and stuff.
Yes.
It looks like a boss fight.
It does, which kind of feels like the movie like shot its shot pretty early.
Right. It keeps saying Hoopa, which I think is some sort of greeting in another language, right? Like it's some sort of celebratory noise, but it summons a bunch of legendary Pokemon, and it says, Hoopa can do anything, and it like fights all these guys.
Which, maybe it's because I'm not so into the Pokeverse, but I feel like there's the Pokemon like Pikachu who like only say their name. That's exclusively it. And then you have like Meowth who speaks in full and complete sentences. I don't understand the in-between rules.
So there are quite a few.
This is Pat's favorite subject.
I don't understand why some Pokemon can talk fully, some can't talk at all.
So Meowth is an exception. Meowth can talk because he decided to forego evolving and leveling up his attacks and stuff so that
he
he
spent his experience points
to learn to speak English. I think that's beautiful. I think
he did it to seduce a female Meowth. And then when he started speaking English to her, she thought he was a creepy freak and she refused to date him.
Well, that's a shame.
That's a shame, and it also busts my theory that, like, I think that might make Meowth a canonically queer character, because, like, yeah, of course, he's gonna learn to talk and just rip bitches to shreds. With his Meowth does not need to physically fight you, because Meowth can destroy you.
Listen, maybe Meowth's attraction is not on the gender spectrum, right? Like, we know he liked a female Meowth. Yeah, he's everyone.
Yeah, he could be. You're right.
He's a pansexual Meowth.
Yeah, I mean,
Meowth is living his life.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of him.
Yeah.
Every day.
I'm out, I'm proud, I'm a weird kitty cat thing.
Yeah, because I've always wondered that, because, like, I didn't know if other Meowths could talk, or if it was just, but it's just that Meowth.
Now, other Meowths say Meowth. I think we've seen a Meowth in a previous movie, and it said Meowth.
Does it go like a cat? Like, is it like, Meowth? Or is it like, meow?
I don't remember. I think it's really funny if it's just like, Meowth.
The thing about this, and we've talked about this so many times in the show, but the thing about it is, no animals make these noises. It's all human beings yelling into microphones. So even, Megan, if the Meowths do like a cat and go Meowth, it's a human being making a cat sound and turning it into the word Meowth.
We're not wrong.
Yeah.
Also, like, does Yoshi also just say his name? Does he just go like, Yoshi? I know he's not a Pokemon, but, like, he's close.
No, we've also talked about, like, what is Pokemon that's not in Pokemon. Yoshi seems like the biggest contender to be Pokemon.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I always thought Yoshi was just going.
Brrr. Yoshi goes. Brrr.
He kind of makes that, like, air horn, because, like, it kind of sounds like a whoopee cushion, but without the fart noise. Like that, like, you know, like when you select them, or like when you have a red shell Mario Kart and it hits someone else and he goes like, but it's like, it's just a very airy noise.
But I think, okay, first of all, when you said Yoshi, it made me think that there is a time that Yoshi went Yoshi. I swear that sounds familiar.
I think he does that either when you select him in, like, Mario Kart 64 or when you win.
And so that's number one. Number two is, I think every character in Mario is a contender for being a Pokemon.
Could be a Pokemon.
Like Toad could be a Pokemon.
Even Mario.
And Mario, yes.
Mario's too bad. Mario's a plumber with a job. Mario's probably in a union. Like, Mario's not a Pokemon.
We assumed Mario was a human until the most recent Mario game, where he's walking around New York City and there's a bunch of humans, and they look nothing like him.
It's New Donk City. How dare you?
And the humans look nothing like him. You see a human, and it only deepens in your mind your conviction that Mario is not a human being.
Yeah, he comes up to, like, their knees, right?
Yeah.
Which is also weird, because I always expected him to be much bigger than Toad, but, like, he's not.
His nose is like a giant, like, balloon on his face, and like he's not a human being. He might be a Pokemon.
Yeah, but just, like, a Pokemon that is that humanoid looking is upsetting to me.
There's a couple humanoid Pokemon.
Machamp,
and they're all upsetting, but there's never been, like, this is the human type Pokemon. But if there was, I bet it would look exactly like Mario.
Or Mr. Mime.
Ugh.
Oh, Mr. Mime's very. I don't like Mr. Mime.
Yeah, Mr. Mime's like it's like the creepiest human that's ever existed with 2 giant blue carrots stuck in its head.
Yeah, like that's an upsetting situation.
So I think this is how this episode is gonna go, by the way, right? Like we barely remember this movie, so we're just gonna talk about other shit and then I'll rush through.
You know what I think is so? A couple of weeks ago, I tried to convince Matt that we should pivot this into a hard seltzer review podcast.
Yo, I love hard seltzer, and I know you said you were drinking a Lime Truly, and like Truly's the best brand of hard seltzer.
It's real good. Pat
Is
hates it, but
I'm not. I tried the grapefruit one, and I thought it tasted weird.
I always think grapefruit tastes weird.
Yeah, that's true. I actually don't care for grapefruit. So that's my problem.
Yeah,
That's
you
why
just
we
picked a
can't
bad flavor.
That's why we can't do a hard seltzer review podcast, because there's too many flavors that I dislike.
right. If we come to a lettuce flavored hard seltzer,
Oh God.
Pat hates the taste of lettuce. If you put lettuce on Pat's sandwich and then take the lettuce off, he won't eat the sandwich because it's got the taste of lettuce on it.
The lettuce juice gets all over it.
What lettuce juice is? It's water. It's just water.
Yeah, lettuce doesn't have a taste.
I'm sorry, Megan, but that's just not true.
Okay, and okay, Pat, one day I'm going to do some kind of blind taste test where I have 2 burgers. You eat meat, right?
Yeah.
Great. 2 burgers. One's going to have lettuce on it, and I'm going to take it off. And one's never going to have lettuce touched it. And you need to tell me which is which.
I absolutely will.
I
Once I'm done dry heaving, I will tell you which one previously had lettuce on it.
I think we can do it with anything. Just a piece of bread and a piece of bread that has had lettuce rubbed all over it.
Yeah, I would love a seltzer and a seltzer that we just dipped some lettuce into.
Like, Pat's getting legitimately uncomfortable. He's like
I
fidgeting in his seat and pulling on his clothing.
I feel like I can't trust any food either of you give me from here on out now. That you've
I'm
just
just going to sneak some lettuce on there.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
take it off.
And then take it back off and you'll never know.
It's like, it'll just be like a hint of lettuce.
Do you think I haven't tried this?
Megan, how do you think...
I think it's like psychosomatic.
Yeah, same. Megan, how would you feel if you did this and Pat just started puking and like for an hour? He just like, you gave him something that you took lettuce off of and he was just violently ill.
I feel like I would feel okay about that situation because like I would tell him it's a blind. No, I couldn't tell him it's a blind taste test because then he just might start puking either way.
And he'd be like, I don't know which one it was, but it was one of them.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I might feel a little bad, but like not that bad because I didn't like poison you. I just gave you a food you don't like.
Yeah, you actually gave him nutrients.
Right.
There is no nutritional value to lettuce. That's so I just want to say, please don't try to lettuce surprise me.
Lettuce surprise. Oh, that's my new favorite term.
The nutritional value of lettuce.
Oh my God.
I'm just typing this into something real quick.
When y'all start a food review podcast, can you call it lettuce surprise?
Lettuce, one cup of shredded lettuce has 53% of your daily value of vitamin A in it.
What kind of lettuce?
Who measures lettuce that way?
Self.com.
Also,
yeah.
Vitamin A is the scam vitamin. That's the one.
That's the only one that there isn't. It's not a real vitamin. You know, do you guys know how there's...
What does vitamin A do?
I'm telling you.
So you guys know how there's, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, and then you know that there's like a vitamin K.
Yeah.
Ketamine, baby.
No, isn't potassium vitamin K?
I'm thinking of special.
Yeah,
K.
potassium's vitamin K, I think,
And-
because it's potassium's K on the periodic table.
Do you know where all the other vitamins are? It's literally what Pat's saying. There's so many vitamins that they named and gave a letter and they turned out to be scams. Like you didn't need them. So they just they still exist. Like there's a vitamin G, a vitamin H, a vitamin I, but everybody knows that they're fake. So no one eats them anymore.
I love that.
So this Hoopa has Sonic the Hedgehog rings and it throws them around and he's a big genius.
What the fuck are you talking about?
We're talking about the movie that we're supposed to be recapping.
Each Sonic the Hedgehog ring has a portal in it, and the Hoopa can summon lightning, and he tells everyone how strong he is, and then he starts smashing this beautiful village.
Are we allowed to eat romaine lettuce again?
It's
I think we've been allowed to for like literally 2 years, Megan.
Okay, because I just stopped doing that. I didn't know if it was back.
And I think, is it true that you were only supposed to stop eating romaine lettuce from Chipotle or all romaine lettuce?
For a
no.
while, it was like all romaine lettuce. They like took it out of stores.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing.
I remember I had eaten romaine lettuce in that period before I knew about it, and I freaked out a little bit.
I told you not to eat that lettuce. I was like, Matt.
I see. The thing that would make me feel real bad for surprise lettuce in Pat is if I accidentally gave him tainted romaine lettuce.
You know, there's this whole thing that, like, as a vegetarian, you can't help feeling a little bit smug when, like, mad cow disease or something happens, and you're like, so you had to eat your cows, and this is what you get. And then when the romaine lettuce thing happened, I feel like I got really quiet. It's just like, I'm just going to stay off social media for a few days.
I tried to remain humble about it, but if anybody asked me about it, I was like, oh, yeah, I don't have to worry about that.
She was like, this is my moment.
So this guy that looks like a cross between Jesus and Alibaba comes up and he traps the genie thing, the Hoopa thing, in a magical bottle.
Oh, right. It's a bong. I was wondering why I wrote Hoopa lives in a bong in my notes.
I'm loving having this movie come back to Pat slowly.
Yeah, me too. It's like, there's a little bit of PTSD to it, but there's also a little bit of like remembering a childhood friend.
So, like, to me, it doesn't so much look like a bong as much as it looks like the kind of hookah you could buy on the boardwalk that you buy when you're like 13 and you're like, I'm going to smoke weed out of this. Then it turns out it's like the wrong kind of hookah.
I think it looks like the rare magical potion you find in a video game, like the one that you have to like do a bunch of extra stuff to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's very ornate.
And then the narrator's back, apparently, according to my notes.
Yeah, but they're really stifling him.
Right. He does talk about how many Pokemon there are, but they only show like 12 of them. And
they don't let him speculate about how many Pokemon there are.
Right.
He just has to be like, trust me, there's a lot.
And then, you know that there was so many recordings where it's like the amount of threads in your favorite shirt. And they're like, dude, no, you have to stop. And he's like, okay.
Try counting the hairs on your head.
Nope, cut, stop. You can just say there's a lot.
I also, like, straight up did not recognize any of those Pokemon. I was like, who are these guys? I think Charmander showed up.
Well, if I remember correctly, which I may not at all, I think they showed a bunch of the legendary Pokemon, which we see all at the end of this movie.
Oh, see, I didn't even recognize them when they came back at the end.
because every legendary Pokemon looks like nonsense.
Yeah, just a bunch of big birds.
Big birds meshed with like just a random electronic device or something.
Yeah.
Right, it's like they all look like either birds or lizards that are on fire with electricity.
Right. And some sort of armor or machinery attached.
Yeah.
What I did write down is, and I remember this, is it started showing Pokemon that lived in space. And that's where the narrator said, there isn't a single part of the world where they cannot be found. That's the only time that wouldn't have been an appropriate thing to say, you dumb idiot.
Right, because, like, how are we glossing over the space Pokemon?
Right. Maybe he thinks space is in the world.
Maybe. Okay, like, maybe that was a hint at something coming down the road where we find out that, like, the Pokemon universe is, like, its own globe, and we're just, like, a little country on the globe.
Really makes you fucking think, doesn't it, Megan?
Yeah, like what the fuck is...
What are we?
Whoa.
Yeah,
We're space.
we're all fucking made of star stuff, you know? Can we still say that? Wasn't that a Neil deGrasse Tyson thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I think
that's,
I don't know.
I don't know if we're allowed to quote Neil deGrasse Tyson anymore. If it's
Not on my podcast.
Guys, do you guys remember before Neil deGrasse Tyson got Me Too'd and a joke Twitter, like some weird Twitter guy took a picture of Neil deGrasse Tyson on a train and captioned it, "Look at this fucking nerd on his laptop on the train."
Oh, I do remember that.
And it went mega viral with everybody on Earth yelling at this guy. I was like, the only reason he knew it was Neil deGrasse Tyson, the joke was that this is Neil deGrasse Tyson. And people like were sending him death threats because he called Neil deGrasse Tyson a nerd and they didn't think he knew who he was.
So I was like reading, to give an exact date to the time of this podcast recording, we are right in the middle of 30 to 50 feral hog madness.
Oh my God, one of the best memes to ever exist.
You're gonna
So the
regret
like
saying that by the time this airs.
I just feel like the feral hogs are going to get milkshake ducked.
Oh, right. Like you're going to find out that
The wild hogs were racist.
There was 30 to 50 feral hogs, but 20 to 25 of them were racist.
So I went back because it was like a country music singer who like did the initial tweet that the feral hog tweet was in reply to.
Yeah.
And after it kind of became a meme, that singer tweeted out, "Y'all, that guy was joking." So it was like weird because it's like based off a joke tweet. This might not be anything. I find it interesting, but I'll shut up about it.
Wait, is that?
Do you think the 30 to 50 feral hogs guy was insincere?
Yeah.
Man, see, here's the thing. This happened with the Bagel Boss guy too.
The Bagel Boss guy's a hoax?
No. The Bagel Boss guy is very real. And that's a real type of person that you run into, and it sucks when you run into them in public. But as a short video that we watched on the internet, or as a tweet from somebody that we read, if we all just start agreeing to not look further into this stuff, it can be immortalized. We can talk about Bagel Boss forever, that weird dumb guy that we all saw at the bagel shop that one day who was flipping out, and that's
About
just like
God, his father, or his boss.
Yeah.
You're not God, my father, or my boss.
We're legitimately talking about like a 2-month-old meme on
Do you
the
think-
podcast right now.
I bet Ash Ketchum says that in a future Pokemon movie. You can't tell me what to do. You're not God, my father, or my boss.
That was a really good Ash Ketchum.
Thank you. I've been doing this podcast for a half a year. I'm a little insulted you didn't compliment my Meowth earlier, but it's okay. We can move forward. As long as nobody reveals "you poked my heart" to be a hoax, then I'm good. That's all I needed from the internet was the "you poked my heart" video.
I think the internet personality that I would be most upset if they got Me Too'd is the guy from that Vine video where they were roommates.
Oh my God, they were roommates.
Yeah, if I find out anything bad about that guy, I'm gonna be so upset.
I hold very close to my heart the knife kid, the kid that's running around with a knife, and his mom finds out. If I found out that was somehow fake, I doubt that child.
I don't think that 3-year-old is gonna get me too.
All right.
Or the guy with Fenton the dog.
Fenton!
Fenton! Oh, for fuck's sake.
You know, the highest probability... Okay, tell me, out of meme Vine people...
What are you guys doing for the next 20 minutes? You want to talk about our favorite Vines?
Who do you think has the highest probability to get me too'd?
Jesus Christ.
The guy who says
Did Suicide Forest guy? Did that
well,
that guy
he's got a whole different thing. Do you guys think who do you think will get me too'd first? The guy who did the Vine stories where he'd run up and he'd tell a short story about strangers in like a grocery store or whatever? Do you guys know that one?
Yeah.
No.
Where you go, story time, and he'd run up to two strangers and be like, he wants to hold her hand desperately, but she...
I hate him already.
Yeah. It was bad.
It sucked. Or the, not the puncher, but the victim of the punch, who goes, oh, fuck. Well, shit.
I can't believe you've done this.
I can't believe you've done
that
this.
Guy. Absolutely that guy.
That guy. Okay, so, Pokemon Aladdin is riding on a bird.
Okay, so here's the other thing about A, B, and C vitamins. One of the highest thoughts I ever had was that those prevented that kind of hepatitis. So that, like,
oh my God.
But like you got hepatitis A because you had an extreme lack of vitamin A.
So when you said one of the highest thoughts I've ever had,
yeah,
I don't know why, but I didn't immediately assume you meant like one of the stonedest thoughts you ever had. I thought you meant this is one of the most intellectual thoughts that you've ever had.
What the fuck am I, the fucking Pope? What?
Pat, one of the highest thoughts I've ever had is that your soul is immortal and I need to save it. Pokemon Aladdin rides into a cave. He steals the lamp and he gets covered in purple gas and he makes anime faces. That's what I have in my notes.
That's exactly what happens.
His face glow, his eyes glow red, and there's like eyes on the lamp apparently, and they glow red. And then suddenly we see Ash and Pikachu swimming in a really nice hotel pool. Guys, me and my girlfriend, my adult girlfriend, as she's known on this podcast.
I was like, why does that require clarification?
So, in one of the early episodes of this podcast, that's a very good question, Megan. And in one of the early episodes of this podcast, it was asked to me because I was talking about watching this episode with this episode? What the fuck am I talking about? I was talking about watching a Pokemon movie with my son and my girlfriend, and the way I chose to frame it was my teenage son and my adult girlfriend, and Pat and Ashley dunked on me so hard that I can only call her my adult girlfriend for the rest of this podcast.
You almost called them your teenage son and girlfriend.
So I also backstory for the 40 listeners. Yeah. I first met Matt because we did a sketch show together in which he played Spider-Man.
Yeah.
A child. And therefore, I always kind of think of Matt as a child.
Yeah,
because in my head, I just hear him going, Mr. Stark, Mr. Stark. I also did not know until just now that Matt had a teenage son. So I'm going through some times.
Megan, my son is 14 years old. My child of the offspring of my loins is 14 human years old.
So if I had to guess your age before I had this information, it would have been that you had that kid when you were 7.
My child,
he just learned how to drink.
This weekend, my child showed me Hereditary, the movie. This weekend, my child said, "Hey, Dad, you should see her. Let's watch Hereditary. I watched it with my friends, and you're gonna like it."
What the
Okay, so that does... I get that the point that you're making is that your son is old enough to introduce you to adult movies that you haven't seen before.
Like a way adult movie, like a crazily adult movie.
Yeah.
What it sounds like you're admitting to, though, is that your son is screening horror movies for you to determine if they're too scary or not.
Yeah. Which, also valid.
Yeah, I think he is a little bit. He likes horror movies. I don't like them because they're very scary to me. I asked him if there was a Frankenstein. He said no, so I watched it, and it was still very scary. I told him I won't do Frankenstein movies. Me and my adult girlfriend, we went to we went to the Four Seasons that just opened in Philadelphia. We got a free pass to stay at the Four Seasons for it came from our work. It was
which is at like the top of a skyscraper, right?
Top of a skyscraper, and it was fucking crazy. We stole robes, of course. You might be asking, did you guys steal the robes? We didn't steal the bathrobes from the hotel. We wore the bathrobes from the room down to the sauna. Then we put our sauna robes on under the bathrobes, wore them back up to our room.
Double robed.
We double robed. And then we stuffed our sauna robes into our luggage.
Damn, dude.
Have
what's the name of the hotel again?
Have you guys ever been to a fucking 4-star hotel?
No.
Yes.
Maybe.
It's motherfucking crazy. It's like everywhere you go, they just have like food and like fruit infused water just sitting on tables. Like, this room has a pomegranate feel, and then you have like pomegranate water, and there's both a sauna and a steam room. Did you guys know there's a difference between the two?
No.
In between the two, they had an ice dispenser that just shot ice from the ceiling into a pile on the ground. Why was that there?
Do you stand in the pile of ice?
I don't know. I still have no idea. They had shaving kits in every bathroom. So I was just like in the bathroom at one point, like peeing, and I decided to shave. That's what it's like being in a 4-star hotel.
I don't understand what makes it a 4-star hotel. Where does it get the 4 stars?
I
Yelp.
think just by being I think just by being insanely overly decadent. There was a bottle of champagne in the room, and my adult girlfriend said to me, when are we going to get the chance to do this again? So we cracked open the bottle of champagne. It was, it had the amount of 2 champagne glasses, so not very much champagne in it. It was 65 American dollars.
Damn.
What?
Was it real champagne?
Yes. You guys know those cereal granola bars you can get at like a corner store for 79 cents?
Sure.
They had those in the mini bar in the room.
Uh-huh.
For $6.
Yo! What?
Yeah, that's they do that because they know that you're gonna come back to the hotel room drunk at some point
And then eat them.
And just we get without considering the
fucking
cost
go
at all.
Crazy on the mini bar.
Which we absolutely did. But anyway, so
My wife is very good about that. She has multiple times reminded me when we get back to our hotel room that I am not to take the candy out of the mini bar. Which is so smart because I'm like, no, there's candy right there.
the craziest thing about this Four Seasons is there was a 24-hour 7-Eleven across the street from it. So you could just go downstairs, go across the street, buy a Snickers bar, or in your hotel room, you could eat the $9 Snickers bar.
Yeah, but I'm already in bed.
You want to eat it in the bed.
The question is, would you pay $9 to essentially have someone deliver you a Snickers bar?
Like, this is GoPuff's business model.
That's true. I spend way too much money on that.
So anyway,
I spent so much money on GoPuff.
Ash and Pikachu are swimming in a 4-star hotel that is just like apparently a free hostel for Pokemon trainers. They're eating donuts.
Oh yeah, I wrote a lot about these donuts. It doesn't make any sense now, but
they're eating donuts. Ash won't put a shirt on. There's a city nearby that is all about donuts apparently. Hoopa keeps this not the hoop guy we saw earlier, right? Remember we saw big hoop guy earlier?
We saw giant hoop guy.
Now
Hoopa man.
This is a tiny little hoop guy, and it keeps popping in through Sonic the Hedgehog rings and stealing donuts and eating them.
Which, rude.
Rude, very rude. And Ash has some friends who I don't remember. There's the boy with the onesie, the Fallout.
Oh yeah, the
onesie.
little the toddler, the grown toddler.
Yeah, and then there's the little girl, and then there's the grown-up girl. I don't even know what happens here. They eat a bunch of donuts. Ash won't put on a shirt. That's what I.
But they're like fake donuts.
Oh, you know what the hoop guy does? He pops through a portal. He steals the donuts. He puts a pepper in its place.
Which was it a pepper? Yeah, it was a pepper.
Sorry,
because it was real spicy.
Yeah,
it's a tomato berry.
Yeah,
right?
It's a tomato berry, which is a pepper.
A whole thing of its own.
Yeah, but clearly a pepper. And one of the Pokemon just eats it thinking it's a donut. How fucking dumb do you have to be to confuse a donut with a pepper?
So, if I fed my cat,
yeah,
and then halfway through my cat eating its food, I took the bowl away, put one extra object in there, and then put it right back, my cat would absolutely eat whatever I put in that food.
All right.
Like, this is how you give pills to dogs.
Wait, I have a question, Pat.
Yeah.
Is your cat's name Cat Reaver or Fat Reaver?
Okay, my cat's name is Millie.
Ooh, liar. What a big liar. Pat's a big liar.
Everyone
if you go
right
to
now
Pat's Twitter and look at his Twitter profile, you'll realize that he's fucking
full of lies. I bet he eats lettuce.
I bet he's eating. Pat, what's that in your mouth?
Okay, I don't. It's very funny, but please don't joke about
this.
this.
Oh, it's just a green piece of paper. No, he's not eating lettuce right now.
I have had my cat for 5 years. Right? No, 6 years.
And
this summer, actually.
Twitter bio for 8.
Yeah. I've had the Twitter bio for 10. I've been on Twitter 10 years. Thank you. You are the first people to call me out on my Twitter bio, which says that if I had a cat, I would name it Fat Reaver.
So I thought I saw a Twitter account by the name of Cat Reaver or Fat Reaver.
Okay,
there is
as
one.
Well. There is someone, I don't know who it is, that is posing as my cat on Twitter. They were at my wedding, I found out.
Ooh,
I know who it is. I know what
spicy.
It is, but I'm not going to say.
It's
not a comedian.
Spicy.
It's not a comedian?
It's not a comedian.
Well, that throws all of my work on this out the window.
There are
trying to solve this mystery.
One time, me and Pat at a comedy show we hosted, we gave the audience the password to a Twitter account that had both of our faces on it, and it was called Matt and Pat. And we gave them our password and we let them tweet under it. 2 people took the password and started tweeting as this account. One of them turned out to be a horrible garbage person.
Uh-oh.
A horrible mutant garbage, horrible sociopath person. The
Ooh,
other one
dicey.
is the person who runs the Cat Reaver website, Twitter.
I don't know why I'm trying to think of who they are like I would know them.
I'm looking at Pat's face and he is baffled.
Is it Mike Muller? He
Okay.
wasn't at my wedding.
So let's keep going.
Wait, no, let's have Pat name all of his friends that weren't at his
Yeah.
wedding.
This is a true crime podcast
Name
now.
all your comedy friends. Name all your non-comedy friends. By first and last name into a microphone to be recorded in perpetuity.
Was it Willie? Is it my friend? I asked my friend Willie if it was him, and he said no. If he's lying to me, I mean, he's supposed to be my friend.
So
I can't believe that you don't control that Twitter account.
So Ash gets pissed off.
I'm sorry. Do people think I'm running that? Do people
I just
think
assumed
made
it was you or your wife.
a parody account of myself?
So I didn't realize it was a parody account. I thought, because I only saw it like tweet out a cat picture.
Can I make this about myself for a second? So
Yes.
the thing that Pat is experiencing, you think I run a Twitter that's making fun of myself for attention? I've experienced several times now, because there's a thing I do at parties, right? Where for a little while in my late 20s, I noticed that every person who regularly threw parties at their house would end up with a bottle of 99 bananas at their house. Right? It was just like this thing that would happen, right? Everybody, like somebody sometime would bring a bottle of 99 bananas. Nobody would drink it. And it would just stay in their bar and come out at every party and nobody would drink it. So I
never understood why 99 bananas existed at all.
Yes, me neither. Megan,
Nobody does.
You're right on my level here. So I would do this thing where at a party, I would get as many people as I could to do a shot of 99 bananas with me as a celebration of the absurdity that everyone has a bottle of 99 bananas in their house and it's the worst thing on earth.
That's character. 99 bananas guy.
Now, I thought it was funny to do this. I thought it would be funny to get everybody at a party to take a shot of 99 bananas. And generally at that point, I'd be so drunk that I wouldn't realize that everyone would be like, yeah, I'll do a shot of 99 bananas with you. And then they wouldn't. And I would look like a big dumb idiot. And I'd be hungover and sick the next day.
You also wouldn't seem to notice that the 99 and 99 bananas stood for the proof of that alcohol.
This was a thing that I would do both with my group of comedy friends and my group of hometown friends. And I would just do it every single party. And I thought it was my signature bit and it sucked. And I eventually figured out that it sucked. And as I was figuring out that it sucked and talking to people about how, oh yeah, I used to do this thing and it sucked. And I now realize it sucked. People were like, oh, I thought you were bringing the 99 bananas to the party. So at that point, now I'm faced with this reality of there are people that consider themselves my friend that like me, that are like, I like that guy, Matt Ockamp. I like him. I would like to spend time with him. But considered me a human being who would bring a bottle of alcohol to a party, sneak it into the bar, and then announce to the party, hey, isn't this crazy that this is here? What sort of idiot would bring this here? Let's all do a shot of it because of how stupid it is. But I brought it!
Oh. Wait, so I was always aware of 99 bananas' existence.
Yeah.
Is it 99 proof banana flavored liquor?
Yes. Exactly what it is.
Why?
So 50% of it is alcohol, the other 50 is sugar and banana flavoring. Yeah, no one knows why, Megan. No one knows why.
So they're eating donuts at the pool.
They're eating donuts at the pool, and it's just like when it's just like it'd be like if people thought that Ash was stealing his own donuts and getting mad about it himself. Like that's what Pat running Cat Reaver or me bringing the 99 to the bananas to the party would be like, as if Ash was stealing the donuts himself and yelling about how somebody's stealing his donuts.
Which I wouldn't put past Ash.
Anyway,
Right.
he gets pulled through the Sonic the Hedgehog ring. He meets a mythical Pokemon. It speaks English. It's a mini genie devil with Sonic rings on its horns. It thinks that Pikachu's name is Pecan, like the nut pecan. And
Which,
it thinks,
like, again, I don't understand the grammar and speaking rules of Pokemon.
it thinks Ash Ketchum's name is Ashcon, like the comedy rapper Ashcon. And even though they correct him and tell him that that's not their name, he will not stop calling them that.
Because he's so fucking rude. I don't understand why they get mixed up with this Pokemon who's fucking rude as shit.
Dumb as hell.
Not fun to be around. He steals
their
your
donuts.
food.
Yeah,
Like, fuck this guy.
fuck him. But they do. They decide that they love him, and then it creates 100 different Pikachu, and for some reason, some of them are like in weird costumes.
They're in outfits.
Yeah.
Which, like, is that like the thing, the Pokemon version of people who dress up their dogs?
I think it's gotta be.
Yeah, I would say probably 1 in 10 people in this world dress their Pikachu up in something. If you're like, I think they have like a fan community around Pikachus, and then some of them are so into it that they tailor like little Santa outfits for their Pikachus.
I also just want to say that, like, this was my favorite scene of the movie. I would love to be around just 100 Pikachus.
Yeah.
That sounds like that. If I were a Make-A-Wish kid, that would be my fucking wish. And they would be like, Pikachus aren't real. And I'd be like, figure it out.
I mean, me too, if I had earplugs. I don't think I'd want to hear 100 Pikachus saying their own name at once.
Oh, no, I want the cute squeaks.
Right. So, do you guys think that, like, the people who dress Pokemon, if you're a Pokemon trainer and you start battling somebody and their Pokemon is dressed up in an outfit, it would be like getting into My Little Pony and being like, oh, whoa, there's like a My Little Pony convention in town. That's interesting. I like that show. I'll spend the $5 and I'll go. And then you go there and there's like bronies there's less like people dressed as My Little Pony organizing orgies around you. And you'd be like, oh, fuck, this is not what I signed up for.
I would also, like, assume that those Pikachus are not safe to be around because, like, I used to work at this really pretentious pet store.
Yeah.
And we sold a lot of different pet clothes and, like, sweaters and little hoodies and all kinds of shit. And people would come in and, like, be like, you need to help me try this on my dog. And then their dogs would fucking bite me because, like, they don't want to wear this weird fireman outfit, which I wouldn't either. Dog, that checks out. And I would assume that, like, those Pikachus are fucking nervous and anxious and they're going to attack you.
Yeah, 100%. Which they do to Ash. At some point, really soon after this, Ash gets electrocuted by 100 Pikachu all at once.
How doesn't he die?
Well, the flesh burns off his body, and his brain stops functioning, and he dies instantly, and the movie's over, and the credits come up, right? That's how
Honestly,
I remember it.
Yeah, that's most of the movie right there.
It's Ash suffering a horrible death by being electrocuted by 100 Pikachu at once. Like, how many volts do you think that is? Yeah.
I don't know what's a lot of volts to begin with. I'm like 17.
Yeah, is that a lot? 100? I don't know. Fucking each Pokemon. Let's say each Pikachu is a volt. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna Google this. How many volts?
How many volts is a Pikachu?
To kill you. How many volts or amps can kill a human? Apparently it's 42.
Oh, see, that's like maybe not as many as I thought. I don't know.
Okay, 42 volts can kill you. How many volts in a Pikachu?
See, that's the real question.
It's 100,000 volts each Pikachu.
Yo! What if?
So Ash got hit by 1 million volts of electricity.
But I just feel like this isn't the first time Pikachu's done that to Ash. I think we are seeing Ash in the afterlife.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's a good chance that Ash has died on one of his events by now, and yeah.
Yeah. And that, what is this clown man's name? Hokum?
Hoopa.
Hoopa. I'm never going to remember his name. I've seen this movie 3 times, and I don't know his fucking name. But, like, I think Hoopa is, like, the St. Peter character judging Ash's life. And, like, does he deserve, like, this is his judgment day, and that is what the Clash of Ages is that.
So not only are you saying
judged.
So not only you're saying that Ash is dead and this is a depiction of his afterlife, you're saying this just happened in this moment where the 100 Pikachu shock him, and then the rest of the movie, and then I assume the rest of the universe is just Ash's death dream between getting killed and dying.
Yeah, and I think that explains later events with the space-time continuum.
Wild. Have you ever read Eureeka by Philip K. Dick?
No.
That's like the plot of that novel.
Yeah, and I think this is the movie adaptation of that novel. That's what I've been saying this whole time. It's kind of like, this is to that novel what A Muppet Christmas Carol is to A Christmas Carol.
Sorry, I forgot. Remind me what the name of that novel is again?
It's the one by Philip K. Dick. Cubic? Trubic?
Sure.
Rubik? Fubic.
So, what if this instead, Ash is a Pokemon? What if Ash is an electric Pokemon, so he can just absorb it, and he's still like, he's hurt by it, of course, but it's wasn't very effective.
So what you're saying is he's like an electric ghost.
I guess if we combine our two theories.
Okay.
I think that's the best kind of ghost you could be.
So
I would hate to be a water ghost.
Actually, Ash survives this somehow, and some nun or whatever shows up, and it apparently is Hoopa's like trainer, and it makes it send all the Pikachus back. Uses a donut as incentive, and
which, like, is that the currency of this land?
Apparently, the Pikachu gets up on like a platform and starts yelling at everyone, and all the Pikachus leave. I don't know like what that was about. But then Hoopa steals all our homies, all Ash's friends, away from their fancy 4-star hotel pool. And,
you always said poop.
Yeah. Got it.
Oh, that's good.
This poopcast.
This poopcast? This
poopcast is great, you guys. Listen, I don't know what happens next. They all decide to go help Hoopa do stuff.
It gets very fuzzy because Hoopa explains it.
And Hoopa can't really speak good.
And it's just like, Hoopa need help, Hoopa small, USB big. And you're like, what?
They decide to go to a tower, and the little girl says, let's just teleport there through your rings. And then we find out Hoopa can't go through its own portal.
Yeah. Which is
a metaphor for masturbation, right?
No, I think he can't return to Earth. His soul can't return to Earth because he too was being judged.
We see Team Rocket. They don't do anything important. Pikachu and Dead Inside see Pokemon.
Okay, why was Team Rocket in this movie?
I think they just have to appear in every movie.
Because like their copyright.
Yeah.
It like would have been better. Like, you know how like the third Harry Potter is the best Harry Potter? And it's like,
actually.
Yeah, it's the best one because the big baddie in it isn't Voldemort. The whole thing's like a side adventure.
So this could have been this is how all these movies are, is every movie is completely unentwined with Team Rocket, but Team Rocket show up anyway and do nothing and then leave.
Yeah, I think if they don't appear in a Pokemon movie, then they have to surrender the rights back to Marvel, and then Marvel can just reboot the whole Team Rocket thing.
So Pikachu and Didden side see Pokemon Aladdin arrive, and the nun is like, "Oh, you found it!" And he's got his glowing red eyes. This is the Pokemon Aladdin from earlier, and he's got glowing red eyes, and she's like, "What's up with you?" And he opens the bong. And little Hoopa turns into big, evil, idiot, villain Hoopa.
I just also want to say that your disjointed notes are about as clear as the whole movie.
Team Rocket are like, "Ooh, I want to steal that bottle." And Meowth is like, "Well, if you steal that bottle, you'll turn me into a giant idiot." Which
Meowth sounds like a fucking newsie. Meowth is like, "Extra, read all about it. There's a big Pokemon. He comes in a bottle. You can buy one for a nickel. Why don't you write a story about that, Mr. Pulitzer?"
Pulitzer and Heist, they think Pokemon is nothing. Are they nothing?
No! You know, I fucking love Newsies so much.
God, it's the best thing on. It's so good. Listen, I would cancel this podcast in a second for a podcast where I just watch Newsies every week.
So, like, okay, would you watch the movie Newsies or would you watch the stage Broadway Newsies?
I have not seen the stage Broadway Newsies.
Holy shit. Matt,
Megan,
we need to watch the stage Broadway. It's so good.
Are you serious right now?
It's great? On Netflix. Yeah, I love it.
On Netflix?
Yes. Or it was. At least I've watched it.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
That's crazy. I have to see it. Newsies is one of the most important things in my life.
Yeah, it should be.
Because it's
Newsies
amazing.
Teaches the children about labor organizing and stylish hats.
Yeah, 100%. It's mostly about hats, but also it's mostly about standing up to systemized impression.
So also
systemic impression.
The weird thing about the Broadway Newsies
is
in the movie, Emilio Estevez was like the writer, right?
Really?
Was that?
Wait. Oh, no. You're talking about our man Denton was played by. Oh, it was one of the two. It was one of the two men. Oh, it was Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman. So they changed Bill Pullman's character to a lady for the Broadway version, so that there's a woman in the movie or in the play.
Right, because the only woman in the movie is one who almost gets raped until the male character saves her.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And that I don't think that happens in the stage play. But
good. That's the shittiest part of the whole thing.
So the writer is now a lady. And spoiler alert, Pat, if you want to take off your headphones again so I don't spoil Newsies. She ends up with the head newsie. Which I think is a little fucked up.
Does?
Yes.
With Cowboy?
With like the main one who's all like Pulitzer and Hearst, they think we nothing.
Jack Kelly?
Yeah, she ends up with Jack Kelly.
All right, Pat, you can come back. That's fucked up.
Right?
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and it's like, I guess because it's a Broadway show, they need to have a love story, but like, damn.
Twice in the podcast that Pat's put his headphones back on to somebody saying, that's fucking crazy.
We're just gonna spoil movies to each other while Pat sings.
Anyway, Hoopa starts smashing shit and showing off. Tries to steal the prison bottle, and he can't. He takes the top of a building and he throws it at people. Pikachu, while trying to fight the giant Hoopa villain, accidentally pops Team Rocket's hot air balloon, and they go flying off into the sunset.
And thus concludes their plot line.
Yeah. Hoopa keeps throwing buildings at people until they decide to trap it back in the bottle, and then it turns back into the little child demon that it was before. That's what I got. Clement has...
Clement, that's his name.
Clement is the Vault Baby Boy with the onesie on. He's a total nerd, and he has science gear that picks up things with a magnetized field. Oh, he wants to pick up the bottle, and instead of picking it up with his hand, he's like, wait. And he has like an Inspector Gadget hand come out of his backpack that captures it in a magnetized field and lifts it up off the ground.
So that doesn't brain control him, right? That's the if I remember correctly, if you come into contact with this bottle with the what did they call it? The Fury.
Oh, right,
will take you over. The Fury is, I guess, just the angry side of Hoopy that's stuck in this bottle.
Hoopa.
So wait, is that the end of the plot that you have?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, did you just run through the whole movie?
No, I've got more.
I would love to turn to reviewing these fucking movies.
Hoopa says, I'm disappearing, and we don't know what that means. And then suddenly it's 100 years ago. Apparently, Baby Hoopa stole... Okay, we're back in the Agrabah village.
Right.
And Hoopa stole their food. And they were like, yo, stop stealing our food. And he's like, oh, no, don't worry. Here's a bunch of gold. And it gives him a bunch of gold, grants wishes. They decide it's a god, so it chills in a temple. And they're like, oh, it'd be cool if you fought other Pokemon. And it's like, oh, yeah, that'd be cool. So, which is really fucking weird. If something was granting you your every wish, would you respond to that by being like, yeah, this is fine. Like, yeah, you give me $1,000 and a Nintendo Switch, but like, what I really want is to watch you beat someone up.
I mean, it depends what's giving me wishes, because, like, sometimes watching things fight is really fun.
That's what these people decide, and they make it fight other Pokemon, but then it gets so obsessed with fighting other Pokemon, it destroys their village, so they made this weird bottle to seal it off and turn it into a baby. And then Pokemon Jesus from earlier channels the power... And listen... At this point, this isn't me not remembering the movie. This is me trying to explain what I remember seeing. A guy who looks like Pokemon Jesus channels the power of Arceus.
The god Pokemon.
On his belt to control Baby Hoopa and make seeds grow into plants.
Because those are the same rules.
Apparently. And it's like if you were tasked in elementary school with like, all right, we're learning about myths this week. So you guys all you 6-year-olds need to write your own myth. Wouldn't that be fun? This is what one of those children would have come up with. Then there's Hoopa making friends with the nun that we saw earlier and the man with the Pokemon Aladdin with the crazy eyes. Yep. And they do pranks together, like switching people's hats.
Oh yeah. They were like friends. And Hoopa was like, "See, I could still be a dick even though I'm small."
and then it gets sick and they make it medicine. And then it gets better. And then Pokemon Jesus dies, who was the grandpa of Pokemon Aladdin.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. The beloved character. And then then Hoopa gets sick again.
Well, see, because if you think about it, that guy was God,
Yeah.
Disney Aladdin was the father, and
Hoopa's the Holy
Hoopa's
Ghost.
the boss.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't remember if we were talking about that on air or off.
No, it was on air.
Great, successful callback.
I don't know. It says it's going to disappear. It doesn't have any power. But if it gives it back its power, it'll go insane. So they don't give it back its power, so it dies. I don't fucking know. Anyway, Team Rocket steals the bottle. We're back in present time, and Team Rocket steals the bottle. They run away.
Oh, right. Meowth gets, like, possessed, right?
Yeah, Meowth isn't okay.
Yeah, they try to trade it for Pikachu, but then Meowth, his eyes glow red, and it frees Hoopa again. And the nun and the man who got and Pokemon Aladdin, they use their magical Arceus belts to try and trap it. Again, this isn't me not remember. Like, at this point, I'm not remembering this incorrectly. I'm struggling to describe what I remember.
To understand what happened.
To describe the things that I clearly remember but don't make any sense.
It's kind of like the end battle from Avengers Endgame. There's just so much wild, cool as hell stuff going on that you got to watch it a bunch of times to understand.
It might be cool to watch, but yeah.
I understood what was happening on Endgame. I knew who all the players were. They spent 11 years telling me.
Yeah.
Or in my case, 5 days, because I watched all the Marvel movies in the 5 days before Endgame came out.
So, okay. At this point, we learn that the angry man, Kingdom Hearts villain, Hoopa, is named the Fury. And it's not Hoopa, it's a shadow of Hoopa. And it's the true form of the power that's been trying to take over Hoopa, and it's the anger of being trapped in a bottle for 100 years, except for we also know it took over Hoopa 100 years ago when it was fighting everybody before it was ever trapped.
Well, so I thought
Yeah.
it was more like Hoopa is a combination of these two things. This weird, annoying, childlike, innocent
Devil baby.
Yeah.
And the Fury, this
Kingdom Hearts
giant,
villain,
awful
genie.
Hulk smash type rage monster.
Yeah.
And
so
thus
when you-
is the clash of ages.
Oh my
I
god.
figured it out.
Megan, you did it.
All right, yeah, that's
We can end the podcast.
All right, that's fair. We're making sense of
Podcast
this movie. It's
over.
gonna,
We need to talk about seltzer.
yes. Look, the grapefruit one tastes like meat. That's my review.
That's such a weird thing.
That's well, yeah. You're a vegetarian. You wouldn't understand.
How's the lime one? Is it better?
Lime one is the best of the Trulies.
Here's my problem, and
Lime
this
one is
will
the
be
best seltzer ever. Like any seltzer, lime is the best flavor.
Ooh.
I agree. No, wait, no. Well, I like some of the really exotic flavors when they do like the seasonals and there's like mango passion fruit or like.
Oh, those could be good, but it really depends.
And you know what? Actually, I'm gonna straight up disagree with you because I just remembered coconut. Seltzer.
You like coconut LaCroix?
Yeah, it's good.
You are the only person I've ever met who likes coconut LaCroix.
Wait,
No way.
I'm sorry. You're outnumbered on this one, Megan.
Well, that is
I know that it is
horrifying.
an extremely unpopular opinion, but coconut LaCroix is good.
What?
I didn't know this was an unpopular opinion. Is it just because it smells like sunscreen?
Yeah, and it tastes like sunscreen.
It tastes well. You know what? Maybe it just reminds me of every.
Summer when you eat sunscreen.
Yeah.
It's like like when you're at the beach and you have sunscreen on your face, and then you like drink or eat something, and it gets some of the sunscreen from your face on the food, and you like taste it, and it's not right, but it's there.
I'm a tiny child when it comes to sunscreen. I don't like putting it on myself when I go to the beach. I do.
You also wear like a suit to the beach usually,
no,
right?
come on. That's not true.
You wear jeans and a button-up shirt to the beach when you go.
Only when I'm like going out to the boardwalk or whatever. When I go onto the beach, I wear a t-shirt and bathing suit.
Jeans?
No! Well, okay.
You wear loafers.
Sometimes I wear jeans onto the beach, but there's a bathing suit underneath, and then when I get to the place, I take the jeans.
There's a bathing
Yeah,
suit.
what? What? You know what? Just wear the bathing suit.
No one wants to see my creepy legs.
Everyone's legs are creepy and they're all out. It's fine.
So, a bunch of shit happens. I don't know. The Anger's trying to take over Hoopa, but it's the power of Hoopa, and without it, Hoopa will die. And the Anger wants to become the real Hoopa, and it's making Hoopa disappear. If what I'm saying doesn't make sense to you, it's like what the movie was about. Like, I'm sorry, but it's what the movie was about.
Yep.
Okay. The villain, the Anger. So then the Anger Hoopa and the baby Hoopa, they exist at the same time all of a sudden. And they argue with each other out loud about whether or not Hoopa should disappear. It's like, I don't want to disappear. And the big guy's like, you need to disappear. And Hoopa's like, but I don't want to disappear. And it's like a legitimate argument they have.
So, like, not to keep harping on, like, how this is the Avengers Endgame of the Pokemon Cinematic Universe, but, like, we didn't really see how, like, Banner Hulk came to be. But do you think it went like this?
Yeah, just like, it just cuts over to the Fury, and suddenly it's like a full person, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder how that happens.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll make a movie about it at some point.
I hope they don't. I never want to know. Where'd he get that sweater? It's so fucking big.
It's a big ass. Yeah. Who made a Hulk-sized sweater?
Does he have a personal garment maker? He has to, right?
It's probably, you'd be surprised, it's probably Old Navy. They have so many clothes that fit people that are a bit larger than average.
I feel like, okay, in the Marvel universe, there was like medium, like small, medium, large.
Yeah.
Extra large.
Yeah.
Extra large, extra large. And then some smartass was like, let's call this one Hulk-sized. And they did, and then like, as sort of like an ironic joke, their company made Hulk-sized clothes. And then the actual fucking Hulk got smart and walked into a store and was like, hey, I don't know if you're gonna have anything that fits me. And they're like, you know what? Actually, we do have this like novelty sweater
We have this novelty beige sweater and a pair of glasses
that most people buy as a joke. I hate to do this, but I think it'll fit you perfectly.
Which, like, also begs the question, because, like, Bruce Banner wore glasses and the Hulk didn't. The whole time he was the Hulk, was he just fucking blind?
Well, it's weird that the most powerful there is has an astigmatism. Like,
Right.
You think that would be the first thing that gamma radiation that improves all of your genes and makes them superhuman. You think the first thing that it would fix would be like, oh, this astigmatism is easily fixable. Because literally a doctor could do that in 5 minutes in our world.
Wait, can they?
Fix an astigmatism?
Yeah.
I think so.
I believe the procedure is like 5 minutes. The recovery is much longer.
Unless they correct an astigmatism. Unless it's you always have an astigmatism, but they will correct it, and then 5 years or 10 years later, you need to get it readjusted.
Right, or I think, like, you could get it done with LASIK, but, like, I have an astigmatism. And I was like, wait, I don't have to have this?
I have bad eyesight that gets worse slightly as time goes on. Is that an astigmatism?
So, like, there's like nearsightedness and then farsightedness, and then I think an astigmatism is just when like everything's a little blurry, like everything's a little off.
That's correct. An astigmatism is like a wrinkle in your eye, so you're looking through like a picture, like a wrinkled piece of plastic rather than a straight one.
I don't think that's what I have. Listen, here's my thing. Here's my take on it. Is I wouldn't put Bruce Banner above wearing like fake hipster glasses.
That's fair.
Like he doesn't need them, but he's like, oh, it makes me look smarter.
Yeah, it's kind of my look. I need to remind people that I'm a scientist because now I'm giant.
Yeah, like it helps people. Like it helps remind people that he's like docile.
He's also kind of like a douchebag, right?
I once dated somebody that was studying to be a librarian, and they didn't need glasses, so they kept going back to the doctor until the doctor said they needed glasses. Ugh. And then eventually the doctor was like, yeah, I guess you need glasses. And then they're like, okay, and then ran out and bought glasses and wore glasses every day of their life.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody never got bullied in 8th grade.
Yo, they could have just fucking gone on Warby Parker and bought glasses.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
like you could just get them without a prescription.
I think they were aware of the idea that like wearing glasses when you don't need them was dumb. Was like lame. But I think they were also like so desperate to have glasses. Okay, I'm gonna try to get through another page and a half of notes very quickly because we clearly the three of us don't want to talk about this movie. Okay, so
you just want to talk about other shit.
They argue about whether or not Hoopa should disappear. Hoopa's argument is no. The other guy is like, yeah.
Ash has a really good line during this where he's like, it's so weird. It's like you're having a battle with yourself or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening, Ash.
He's trying to make a metaphor happen, but he's actually just describing the literal thing in front of him.
So they run away and they're like, we need to make a new bottle to capture old big dumb Hoopa and let baby Hoopa be itself. It's all exposition at this point. Like the next half hour is all just people explaining what the plot is and why it is the way it is. If your plot is that complicated, maybe you fucked up.
Right, because also like the half hour before it was like all action and just like of things you've never seen before. So like they also like don't prep you for any of this exposition, and you at first you kind of just think that it's gonna be like more battle shit talking, so you don't really pay attention to it.
Yeah. So
it's a good thing you watched this one 3 times then, man.
They decide, unlike what Pokemon Jesus did when he made the bottle, for some reason these guys need the powers of fire, water, ground to make a new bottle. And they're like, oh, I have a fire Pokemon. Oh, I have a water Pokemon. Oh, we don't have a ground Pokemon. So they kidnap one from the wild, and it sucks.
And not dragon. You remember when that was the important one?
Oh yeah, when all the
fire, water, earth, and dragon.
Yeah, what?
So,
what about air? What about the birds?
They go and they try to hide. I don't know. The thing can track Hoopa. They get to the tower.
Hang on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Now I'm picturing 5 elements, which are water, earth, fire, air, birds.
Listen, if you've ever seen that video of the bird that flaps its feet really loud on the ground, you would definitely think that's an element of nature.
Y'all know that
we're
video.
Back to a fine review podcast.
Y'all know that video of like those 2 guys from the Bronx watching one of the Pokemon movies?
No.
And they're just like, that's not Pokemon, that's a Chinese myth dragon.
Not at all.
Okay, when we're done this, you have to YouTube Snorlax owns in this movie.
Okay. So, they run away, they make Hoopa hide on its own, but Ash is like, I'm not going to let you go by yourself, and then Ash makes a speech about how he is going to be a Pokemon master, of course. They hide behind a box.
Which, like, Ash, you've been at this for, like, 20 years. Give it a rest.
You're not going to be a Pokemon master
Yeah.
at this point, homie. I'm sorry to let you down.
It's getting embarrassing.
Yeah, it's like when somebody's like a 45-year-old open mic comedian, and you're like, listen, man, I'm really sorry, but you're not going to make it.
It's like when someone posts, well, it's my 10th rejection from this improv team. Like, oh my god. It's over for you.
Yeah. I don't know. They get attacked by Hoopa. Lugia shows up and flies him out. Hoopa and Lugia fight. They go to the ocean. Hoopa steals Latios, and Rayquaza. They fight a bunch. Fucking, I don't know. I don't know.
So they just start teleporting in legendary and god Pokemon, right? That's what happens here. Is they're all just.
So there's fire, water. What was the other way? They didn't say earth.
Ground.
Fire, the dumbest way to say it.
Yeah.
And then dragon and god.
Those are the 5 elements. And bird.
Bird.
And lettuce.
And what was the name of that river from like the second movie that runs under the whole world? And
there's a river of energy that runs like under the entire world.
Life force.
It's that is literally the plot to Lost.
And there's also there's also the force that governs all things that Lucario uses to punch people good, and I don't know what that was either.
Oh yeah.
It's like it's chi, but I don't know what they called it. Anyway.
Oh, wasn't there also chi? Isn't there a movie where they keep using chi?
Yeah, listen, every single spiritual force that exists in the Pokemon movies, and they utilize it.
Right. Also space and time.
Space and time. So, they fly around, they fight, everyone fights. There's Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, Kyurem, Kyogre, Groudon, Latios, Rayquaza, and 2 Hoopas, and they're all fighting each other. It sucks. And then in the tower, the nun and Pokemon Aladdin and all Ash's friends are trying to make a bottle. Oh, and Hippopotamus, the ground hippopotamus.
That shoots sand out of its mouth?
Instead of saying hippopotas or hippopotamus, it says poo-poo. I just wanted that.
Nice.
I just wanted
to Can you imagine a giant fucking hippopotamus coming out of the ground and spewing dirt out of its mouth onto you while going, poo?
Yeah, all right, you're drowning. Yeah, you are dying because your mouth is filled with dirt, and a giant hippopotamus just shot it into your mouth, and you're dying. You're at the ground. You're being buried alive.
And the last thing you hear,
poo. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me?
I'd be pissed. I'd be so pissed.
So, I don't know.
They get out of it.
They survive. No, I don't know. I don't know what happens.
It's not clear.
They evacuate the town. They make the bottle. All the legendary Pokemon kill everybody. I don't fucking know. Okay. It's all just a big battle.
So and Megan, please correct me if I'm wrong, but my memory of how this goes down is big Fury Hoopa and little Puppet Hoopa have like a reasonable conversation with each other and decide just to kind of join forces and be one very like centered Hoopa.
Really?
Yeah.
And then that centered Hoopa is like, all right, I guess we can get rid of all these god tier Pokemon, and they send everybody back, and you think the movie's over, but then
it just keeps happening to you.
Space and time. Yeah, then you have to keep watching for another 20 minutes.
But you guys missed Ash gets possessed by the Hoopa thing.
Oh,
Ash turns into
right.
evil Ash for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Everyone turns into evil somebody for like a hot second.
Yeah, Ash turns into evil Ash, and it's the only cool part of the movie, but I can't, but I that's what I wrote in my notes, and I trust me, but I don't fucking remember at all. So it couldn't have been.
It happens like very quickly for a movie that's taking so long.
Okay, so then
I feel like that's like the thing about this movie is that everything that happens in it happens super quickly, but just so much quick stuff happens that I don't retain it.
You know what happened? I think what happened is that Baby Hoopa tells Big Hoopa that its life is fun now, and it shows him a bunch of images from its brain about eating donuts, and then Big Hoopa is like, "Oh yeah, that does seem fun," and then they decide to merge into one, and then. Oh, yeah, and then because so many legendary Pokemon are in the same place, a giant ring of purple surrounds everybody. And somebody says, time and space are being warped. Perhaps too many legendary Pokemon are... So this big wall of purple that is getting smaller and smaller and, like, crushing everybody as if it's the trash compactor in Star Wars A New Hope, is the concepts of space and time. And it's going to crush everybody.
Right.
And I think now we're caught up to the little mini episode we released.
Yeah, well...
This is where we cut in.
Hold on.
It's not going to make more sense if you try to bridge some gaps.
Well, here's where it comes back that Hoopa can't go through its own ring.
Right.
Yeah, but then it can, right? The rule was that you can't go through your own ring until you're like mature again and you're not a weird little.
But then Ash believes in it, so then it can.
Again, because of the Judgment Day theme.
And then
Hoopa's come to terms with his past, and now he has his powers back.
And then all the Pokemon fly away. I don't fucking know. All the legendary Pokemon leave and say goodbye, and they love each other. And then Ash is like, I'm going to be a Pokemon master. And then Hoopa's like, a Pokemon mister? You're a Pokemon mister? Pokemon mister, Pokemon mister, Pokemon mister. And it fades out on him yelling that.
Yep.
Right? That's how the movie ends?
Yes.
And that's the end of the movie. And listen, people at home, if you're like, okay, if you are listening to this podcast and you're like, okay, I just listened to this whole thing. They didn't remember the episode at all. So it sucks to listen to a podcast where people don't remember a movie and they try to explain it anyway. I guarantee you, I promise you that the way we just explained it that didn't make any sense at all, that was what the movie was.
It makes so much sense. Like, we were thorough.
So what Matt's saying is, if you're listening to this and thinking, man, this podcast sucks, excuse me, but that's only half the story.
I'm just saying, you might think like, oh man, they shouldn't do a podcast where they don't remember the movie anymore. But it's literally like, if we had remembered the movie every single moment of the movie, it would have been as confusing and incomprehensible. That movie was nothing nonsense garbage.
Plus, I think we got out a lot of important information about, like, vitamins.
Yeah, I was going to say, we would have talked a lot less about spiked seltzer if we remembered what this fucking movie was about.
We don't need to do recaps because you guys have already heard it. We don't need to do voicemails because we're already caught up on them. We don't need to do rankings because we already did that. Like, at this point, the podcast is done. Megan, what do you want to do for the last however long before we hang up?
I want to know what other things you guys think are Pokemon.
Okay, that's a really good question. So everyone from Mario, definitely.
Yeah, that's fair.
We just got like a garlic mincer.
Uh-huh.
It was on our wedding registry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, are you married? You haven't mentioned it.
Oh yeah, no. Okay, you know what? It's in all seriousness. The other day, I did ask somebody. You know how there are people that have like traveled to Paris a whole bunch, and every time you talk to them, they mention that they've been to Paris. They find a way to work it into the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm worried that I'm doing that, but just with I have a wife.
Yeah, you are. I think the axolotl. You guys know that animal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is a Pokemon. Megan, your turn.
So there's this possum I follow on Instagram. The Instagram handle is Sesame the Possum. Or no, the Instagram handle is It's Me Sesame.
Right.
Sesame's dead.
Oh.
And the new possum that took over, Starfish, I think she's a Pokemon. She doesn't have a tail.
Oh.
Cute.
So it's like it's the Pokemon Possumite.
Yeah.
I think Ted Cruz might be a Pokemon.
Fair.
Mm.
Not like a good one.
Doesn't look human. Isn't capable of complex thought. Might be a Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't say his own name enough. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Probably. I mean, clearly loves donuts. That was me joking about Ted Cruz being fat.
All right.
Just because.
Hang on.
I don't like.
I think anglerfish.
Ooh, anglerfish is a good one. Oh,
Airplanes.
the two Grover-looking Muppets from Eureka's Castle.
Oh yeah, really all of Eureka's Castle.
Maybe all of Eureka's Castle. Did you guys ever notice the very first time I found a wine key that has the two arms on the sides?
Yeah.
And
the swirly guy in the middle.
The swirly guy in the middle. That's what Cooey is. Do you guys? So how well do you remember Eureka's Castle?
Not very.
Do you remember?
I don't have a son, so.
Well, my son never watched it. I don't think. The Dragon Magellan had a pet bird named Cooey.
Oh yeah.
And it would
Oh, yeah.
And it would sit on its shoulder, and its head would turn, and its arms would flap. And it's
just a
wine key wrapped in fabric. And I noticed that the first time I ever held a wine key, I was like, this is Cooey. This is definitely Cooey.
Oh, shit.
I always thought, and this may have actually been debunked on this podcast, I can't remember, but that Batley was just David Cross. That was... I thought they looked exactly the same, sounded exactly the same.
What a strange thing to think. Like, okay, so you knew about David Cross when you were a child, and you were like, this is David Cross? Or when you learned about David Cross 10 years after you watched Eureka's Castle, you were like, oh, this is the guy who played Batley.
I would say when I learned about David Cross, but it was probably more recent than 10 years after, because he popped up on like as an actor on a sitcom that I was watching. Or something like that. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I saw him and I was like, "Holy shit, that's Batley! This must be the guy that played Batley, or the guy that Batley was based on."
This sounds similar to the fact that I thought the people who sang "I Saw the Sign," the woman who sang "I Saw the Sign," like the lead singer,
Ace of Base,
was the Pink Power Ranger.
I thought it was Stephanie Tanner because there's an episode of Full House where Stephanie Tanner sings that song.
Really? I don't know why. For some reason in my head I was like, oh, this girl singing the song is the Pink Power Ranger. And I held on to that belief for like 5 years.
So I just Googled Batley Eureka's Castle David Cross.
Yeah.
And the first result is a since deleted Reddit post that said David Cross looks exactly like Batley from Eureka's Castle.
Yes.
No way. I was gonna I'm gonna Google Batley. I'm gonna Google Eureka's Castle Cooey wine key.
I gotta say, I'm glad that Reddit agrees with me on this subject. It's a good group of people to have behind you.
Always.
Listen, Reddit has its bad spots.
What do you?
Well, now I'm just looking up QE.
Welcome to the very worst, the only podcast where we discuss our
Googling shit
Google
now.
image searches.
Do you guys think that? Do you guys think Eureeka's castle? I might cut this out because it's too bad. But do you guys think Eureeka's castle has been Rule 34'd? I was about to bring it back on theme and maybe leave it in the podcast. I'm not going to leave this in the podcast. It's too
No, you.
Let's take it from here.
Okay, let's take it from
All right,
here.
we're back on the podcast.
If you Venmo any of us $5, you can have the part that we just cut out.
The part that we just
audio of
cut
the
out
part
that
we
is
just cut out, which is us discussing.
It's literally the most foul thing that has ever been discussed on a podcast.
That's not
not
true.
okay.
It's not okay.
It's not okay.
I think it's offensive. I think that we should be reported to an authority for what we just discussed.
Yep.
Matt really wants to make this $5. He's trying to sell this.
Okay, y'all, it's not that bad, but
I know
it's gross. It's gross.
It's legitimately gross. So, anyway, I don't know how to end the podcast when we've already ended it and everyone's heard the end of it.
My
Megan.
Venmo is Meg Chia, MEGCHIA, for $5. You could have this recorded. I'll also keep it the recording of the 30 minutes of silence in which I was resetting my internet.
Yeah, you can throw that in for free.
Yeah.
Megan, thank you so much for being on The Very Worst. It was a blast to have you. I'm sorry about all the technical issues, but I'm so glad it gave us the opportunity to goof off with you a second time.
Yeah. Yeah, super fun.
And you know what's...
Pat, I'm sorry about all the lettuce.
No, that's okay. You didn't actually give me any, so so I'm doing all right.
Yes. It'll happen.
You know what's great though is now we have a lost episode.
I know, isn't that cool? That makes us look legit.
We have a lost episode. If somebody in the future ever tries to look into it, they'll be able to find. We know where half the audio is.
Oh yeah, if somebody hacks my computer and steals, they can get half the audio.
Yeah. They can get some of it and try to piece together everything else. Man, it's complicated, but it's all thanks to you, Megan. Now we have lore.
You're welcome.
Megan, do you wanna plug anything before we go?
Yes, I do. You can follow me on on Twitter and
Don't
Instagram.
follow on Facebook. Do not.
Do not.
They will block you so
Get
fast.
away from my Facebook. I have no idea when this will be posted, but I will be at American Sardine Bar on the 15th of August doing stand-up. And I have a doctor's appointment on the 22nd. And then on the 27th, which is a Tuesday, I will be at Tattooed Momedy at Tattooed Moms. It was the Best of Philly stand-up showcase, so see that. It's free. There's $1 tacos.
Let's specify that that's the 22nd of August, just in the event that.
No, I'm gonna.
Yeah,
right.
that was the respectively the 15th of August at Sardine Bar, 22nd of August at my doctor's office, 27th of August at Tattooed Moms.
This is y'all dunking on me specifically.
You're not my doctor.
Okay. Yeah, go check out Megan and any of those things. They're hilarious. And the doctor, man, that's a good doctor.
It's gonna be a good appointment. I'm gonna ask them again for a hysterectomy, and they're gonna be like, "You can't just do that."
So, now we used to do this bit at the end of every episode, where Pat or Ashley would just yell "bye" while I was trying to say that we should have a real outro. But I think Pat has ceded ground to where if the guest can think of a good outro tagline. Hold on, I guess before we do that, we should say
Please call us and leave a voicemail.
Please call us at 607-323-7168. That's 607-323-7168. Leave us a voicemail about anything we've talked about nothing we've talked about, or just make a Pokemon noise and hang up. Anything is acceptable. And check us out on Twitter. Rate us on iTunes. Tell your friends. I don't know. What the fuck ever. Okay, Megan.
Yes.
If you can think of a good tagline to end this show.
Okay.
If it's better than just yelling the word bye, then it'll be the one we use forever.
All right. This has been the very worst. All vitamins that you could buy in a drugstore are a scam.